What if the very house you lived in kept secrets older than your own bloodline? What if every door creak, every shadow, wasn't a trick of your mind, but a whisper from something waiting to be uncovered? If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss the next chilling tale. Eleanor Price had always prided herself on being rational. A school teacher in her mid-30s, she believed in books, history, and facts, not ghost stories. Yet when she inherited her grandmother's weathered countryside home, she found herself surrounded by rumors. The villagers called it Hawthorne Hollow, a house that had seen more than it should. Eleanor dismissed it as local superstition, until the first night she stayed there. As the clock struck midnight, she heard a faint tapping against her bedroom wall, slow and deliberate, as though someone were knocking from the other side. She searched the room, found nothing, and convinced herself it was the wind. But the tapping returned the following night, this time joined by the sound of soft footsteps in the hallway, though she lived alone. Intrigued and unsettled, Eleanor began exploring the house by daylight. In the attic, she discovered an old wooden trunk. Inside lay yellowed letters written by her grandmother, addressed to no one, each signed with the same phrase, "Forgive me." The handwriting grew more frantic with each letter, words smudged as if written in panic. Who was she asking forgiveness from? The second hook came days later, when Eleanor noticed a locked door at the far end of the cellar, one she hadn't opened yet. The lock was rusted shut, but she felt a strange draft pulling through its edges, as though the room beyond was breathing. That night, the knocking on her walls grew louder, as if urging her downward. The third came during a storm. Lightning illuminated the house, and in one flash, Eleanor saw a figure reflected in the hallway mirror, a pale woman in a tattered dress standing behind her. When she spun around, the hallway was empty. The reflection lingered a moment longer before vanishing. And then, the fourth. Her neighbor, an elderly man named Mr. Clark, warned her one evening. "Your grandmother was a brave woman," he said quietly, "but courage has a cost. That house doesn't want to be empty. It remembers." His words carried the weight of truth, though he offered no explanation. Unable to ignore the growing dread, Eleanor returned to the cellar with a lantern and a crowbar. She broke the rusted lock and pushed the door open. A cold rush of air hit her, carrying the scent of damp earth. Inside was a small bricked room, bare except for a single rocking chair facing the wall. On the wall itself, carved deep into the stone, were hundreds of names, names she recognized, villagers, teachers, even her own grandmother. And at the bottom, freshly carved, despite her grandmother's death years ago, was Eleanor Price. The climax struck her like a hammer. The air thickened, the rocking chair began to sway on its own, and she heard the unmistakable sound of someone breathing just behind her. With trembling resolve, Eleanor whispered into the darkness, "What do you want from me?" The final twist came not in words but in realization. The letters, the carvings, the warnings. It wasn't a haunting. It was a pact. Her grandmother had bound herself to the house, feeding it names, perhaps sacrifices, to keep something far worse at bay. And now, with her name etched into the stone, Eleanor understood her place in the lineage. The house hadn't chosen her by chance. It had been waiting. Her lantern flickered, then went out. In that silence, she finally understood why the villagers spoke in hushed tones about Hawthorne Hollow. It wasn't haunted by the dead. It was alive, and it had just claimed her. So, what would you do if the very walls around you were keeping a tally of your fate? Let us know in the comments below. And if this story sent shivers down your spine, make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon so you never miss the next twist of fear and mystery. Because sometimes, the most ordinary inheritance hides the most extraordinary curse.